Okay, this is going to be the beginning of the next video build project, terrain video build project. And what you see here is what I'm going to end up calling the project. What do you do with a failed Titan build? So this is a Titan build that a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, started and stopped. And this is actually all made out of metal. And so he's been holding on to it, and I did a trade for him, and he asked me to build him a piece of terrain. So he had some stuff that he wanted me to use, and this is what he gave me. So just to do a quick introduction and to get an idea, so this is going to be a Rec Titan. So just obviously the main piece here, and cowling. I've got a couple other things like that where you can see some feet and some leg pieces back over in here, some torso pieces, and if you will, and then fabrications for plasma cannon, and then like you could call this what are some, I don't know the names of some of all the Titan weapons, but again, same thing. So and again, just more pieces and stuff like that. So part of my plan is what I'm going to do with this thing is actually going to be a two-part piece, because with all of these pieces, it's going to be too big to spread it out and make it one piece. So what I'm actually going to do is make it modular, so you can play it where the Titan looks like it's come apart and it's kind of spread out, or you can slide it together and it will look like it's one bigger piece. So you can play it either way. And it's going to be my initial idea, just so you guys can get an idea, and I apologize for some of the shaky cam work, but that the Titan is going to kind of nose down, and I'm going to make like the cockpit kind of broke off. So this will actually stick up a fair amount. So you can see that'll actually, you can get an idea of my hand, and I got a big old paw. This will create a good line of sight blocking piece of terrain, and then I can take like one of the arms or something like that, and then build up around it and make it look like this, this front piece is actually, buried in the dirt, and that'll then act as a good holding point, and I can build up underneath it so it'll actually sit nice and stable. And then I'll just create a cutout, basically, where then I'll use the other pieces, like the leg bits, probably one of the weapon bits and stuff like that, looking like it's been, it was torn off or something like that, and then just build up kind of like it's being excavated and that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking if I can do some interesting pieces and maybe on the bottom of this, cut some holes in the bottom, while this does just look like a huge black piece at this point, is maybe cut some holes out of this and clear out some of the foam. And then what I can do is put a tea light or a couple tea lights in the bottom of this, and make it look like it's, it can either be done where it's like freshly done, and they're trying to excavate it, or this thing's actually still on fire, kind of a stuff. So, and then my idea, so that you can actually still get at it, is I just use a Forstner bits and actually cut holes out of the bottom of the piece of terrain, and that way you can just slide you can turn the lights on for the tea lights, slide them up in here, it'll illuminate what you want, and then when you're done, you just pick them up and turn them off, make it easy for storage. And then if one of them dies, it's not like it's embedded in part of the terrain or anything like that. So it'll make it just inexpensive, easy, and if you want to change some things up, and a couple holes in the bottom of it won't really bother it. So that's kind of the initial ideas with some of this thing. So this is the introductory video with the pieces, and again, just a quick pan around with some of these pieces and stuff like that. And then I'm going to try to add I'll add some plastic card pieces and things like that to some of this to give the panels a little bit more definition, and then we will start the build and start the base layout. So hopefully, if I'm feeling better this weekend, I will get the initial base cut, get that chopped up, so we'll have a basic layout that have the modular side to it. And then what I've got to figure out is what I'm going to use to build up the kind of the dirt and stuff like that. I obviously just can't pile things up and then glue things to it. That's not going to be real stable with this being metal, and it will be a fairly heavy piece. If I use lightweight materials and this thing flexes, it's just going to make that stuff crack. So I got to figure out a way so I can build up the layers, but again, not using something like, you know, lead, so this thing weighs even more. And that way I can give it a decent amount of height, make it look like it's, you know, it's bored into the ground, that this thing hit with a lot of force, so I can make that, you know, make that move, you know, essentially make it look like it, plowed into the ground. But again, making it so it's durable, because this, given this the size of this piece, I don't want it to break up, because it has a chance of actually flexing and that kind of thing. So, anybody has any suggestions, let me know. I'm debating, you know, everything from pieces of like basswood or something like that that I can use as a basis to build things up. I'm trying to stay away from foam, mostly just because the glues and things like that aren't going to be strong enough. Where if I'm to use wood, and then I want to pin into it with, say, some of these metal pieces and things like that, it's not going to rip apart from the foam. The wood will actually be a better bond with some of that, and in turn, I'm not then having to, you know, use 15 pounds of glue to stick everything. So that's my first thought. Probably do some walking around Home Depot, see what materials I can find, and we will go from there. So everybody have a good one, and more to come. Bye-bye.
Okay, here's my idea of a layout. So as you can see here, here's the main whole piece, and then at the head will be broken off, and then what I'm going to do here is embed wires and stuff around this, so it'll look like it was, you know, sheared off. And then this piece will be probably popped up like this. So if you get an idea down here, you kind of see it'll be a good line of sight blocking and stuff like that, but it won't be too bad to be able to go through. And then my general idea is, what I'll probably then do is make a cut right along, probably start here. My debate is either start here, or I actually may just start over here and let this overhang. So, but start here and cut in through here, and then cut over in here, and then that way this will essentially be a piece, and then trim this back off in here again, and then this will be a piece, and you can essentially either slide them together, or you can separate them apart a little bit and make a little bit bigger piece, or you can make it as two pieces. But that's the general idea of the layout. What I've got to do now at this point is come up with a means to prop this up, and then it's going to be a lot of, I need to figure out some stuff to bulk these things up and make it look like, essentially the skid and the churning up with the dirt and stuff like that. So that'll be the next piece, is just kind of figuring out how I attach it, and then once I attach it, I'll start putting some details on the carcass, and then weather it up and things like that. And what I've got to do is I'm going to need to get a whole bunch of like wires and pipes and things of different size, so that from the different connector points and stuff like that, there'll be pipes and stuff like that, so it looks like, you know, it has been torn apart. It doesn't just look like a stripped skeleton. So that'll be the next gauge. Like I said, once I get it then tied down, then I can start doing the details to it and go from there. So part of it's going to be trying to figure out kind of the order of execution. Do I do the sand work stuff, then tie it down, or can I do the sand work afterwards? So still back and forth debating on that one. I'll have to think about that, but there's the basic concept of how it will lay out. More to come.